All right, so here's the thing. When it comes to us fellas, one thing women don't realize is if we're real men, our word is everything. And if and when we get to a point to where we trust you with our word, we trust you with whatever emotional talk we've had, we trust you not to go out and violate our trust or our word. All right, and the reason I bring that up is because women manipulate situations, um, or they alter situations through manipulation, right? Physically, they know they can't necessarily beat us up or beat us down or anything like that. Or and they know that we're stronger. They know that, right? It's just a given, right? And so what they have to do is use their words and manipulation of people and situations to try and fight back, right? If we're in a situation to where we are in a disagreement, or we just can't get along for whatever reason. And when a woman feels like she's losing that battle, then she go out and she begins to manipulate people and things and situations to present herself in a great light, in the best light possible. All right, so then that brings me to this. In relationships, when a man gets to the point to where he feels like he can trust you, right? And he feels like he can open up to you about certain things about himself, um, about his past, about things he struggled with, about his life, and he feels like you're the one that he can finally talk to about some of these things because you're not gonna go back behind him and whatever he tells you is in complete confidence, right? You're not gonna go back behind him and just blab it to the world. I want to let you women know, don't ever, if you ever get a man that has that much faith in you, that's saying something about your character, right? That's saying something about what type of woman you are. He's completely um, giving you everything he has. You understand what I'm saying? He's giving you everything that's within him, and he's asking you. He has full trust in you not to violate or disregard anything he's telling you. And a lot of you women don't understand this because when he does find that trust in you and he does open up, the very first time where there is some sort of disagreement between you two, you get angry, he gets angry, and you two just can't get along. Or perhaps, you're just out and about with some friends and it's boring for whatever reason, right? And then you choose to, there's no juicy gossip or whatever the case may be, right? You choose to take the information he gave you in his vulnerable state And if there's an argument, you throw it right back in his face. A man tells you, in my life, I've dealt with drug use, or I've been abused, and I've been uh, uh, anything. I've been disconnected with my father, and I'm hurt because of that. I've been disconnected with my mother, and I'm hurt because of that. And at the time where you feel like you can one up him because of an argument, you use that and you say shit like, that's why your mama don't like you, or that's why your daddy don't like you, or that's why you was a drug abuser, or that's why this and that's why that. Don't do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? He told you those things at a point where he was probably the weakest. And you take that precious information, that precious trust that he had in you, and you completely destroy it. You understand what I'm saying? That also shows what type of character you have. And fellas, the very first time she does that to you, leave her ass, because she's going to do it again. Other thing is, like I said, when she's out with her friends and all this other stuff, right? She's out with her friends. You've at some point you've expressed your vulnerability, and you gave some information to her, and she goes out one day with her friends, and they are all gossiping and talking, and she uses you as a conversation piece, and uses your information that she got from you while you was in a vulnerable place, and just start blabbing it to her friends. And somehow it always gets back to you. At some point, you're all going to meet up and at a party, or at an outing, or at the house, or something. It's going to get, when that does get back to him, ladies, let me tell you, he will never look at you the exact same way. In his state where he was most vulnerable, and he gave you the most trust, and he looked at you as a diary, using an Alicia Keys analogy, right? He looked at you here, right? Like, damn, I can really talk to her. And then you go back and you take that information, you take all his vulnerabilities, you take his weakness, you take him at his lowest point, you ball it up, right, and you shove it right back in his face. Or you give it to people who have no business in you two, in your relationship. Ladies, let me tell you, that shit is absolutely low. And understand this, fellas. Don't be surprised, right? Don't be surprised if that does happen. Because like I said, women use manipulation of people and things and situations to present themselves in the best light possible. They only do this when they feel like they're in a losing situation, because they know they can't fight a man. They know they can't one up a man physically, right? So they have to get creative. They have to use their brains and the manipulation powers to get back at you. That's the way they fight. Here's what I always here's what I would recommend for fellas. Remember, we are our brother's keepers, right? If you got a friend, you got a cousin, you got a brother, an uncle, a father, or something that's experienced in life, and don't mind, being there for you to express your, your problems, your issues, anything like that, right? If you got a friend, an uncle, a cousin, a brother, whatever it may be, talk to them. Get some one-on-one time with them, man, and express yourself to them. I wouldn't necessarily do it with a woman, right? Unless you're absolutely sure that she's 100% trustworthy. Because in your most vulnerable state, she will take advantage of it at the first time possible. Right? Because she weaponizes your hurt and your pain and your vulnerability, and she's just waiting to unleash it. You get what I'm saying? This is why I wouldn't recommend any male, any man to become put himself in a situation to where he's vulnerable to a woman. Now, I'm not telling you all this stuff just because I just felt like telling you all this. I'm telling you all this from experience. You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you because it's happened to me. You get what I'm saying? I've been in a place to where I told a woman, my wife at the time, something real near and dear to me because I felt like I can trust her. The absolute moment we got into an argument and she felt like she was in a losing situation, she threw it right back in my face. And I'm going to tell you, I never, ever, never, ever, ever told her anything personal ever again in life. Ever. You understand? I never divulged any personal information to her ever again because at that point I could no longer trust her. At that point I could no longer talk to her. Understand what I'm saying? So fellas, if you have an outlet, preferably a male, a man, somebody who's your friend, someone who's close to you, don't do this shit. Don't become vulnerable to a woman unless you're 100% sure that she has your best interest at heart. Fellas, remember, we are our brother's keepers, man. We're supposed to be there for one another, lift each other up, trust one another, love one another. So fellas, find someone, preferably not a woman, to when you're vulnerable, when you feel like you need an overcoming, when you feel like you need to talk to someone, find an elder, find brother, find your cousin, find someone other than a woman. That's just my recommendation. You can do whatever you want, but I'm telling you, a lot of the times, at the drop of a dime, these women will weaponize your vulnerability. You understand? All right, man. I'll talk to y'all.